Hi everyone, Teresa Aker here from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. I have Marianna here this morning and I'm thrilled to bring her to you. How you doing, Marianna?
I'm doing so good. The weather in Iceland could do better, but I'm feeling fine in the warmth inside.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. I'm in Canada, as you know, so we also have winter and it has been relatively cold this last month. We've had a cold one as well. So, but we're glad you're here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Now, Marianna is a transformational specialist, and I'm just going to read your biography and then we're going to get to it. Okay, Marianna?
Sure.
All right. So Marianna, and you're going to pronounce your last name for me,
Magnúsdóttir.
is a seasoned professional specializing in modern management and leadership, particularly in strategy implementation, transformation journeys, workplace culture, and the human aspects of change management. She has extensive experience in manager, consultant, coach, and facilitator, and is accustomed to delivering presentations, workshops, and courses. Marianna, how impressive. Very nice.
Thank you. Those are big words, right?
They are. So you're going to have to break them down for me.
Yeah, exactly. We have to ground those words actually.
Exactly. So what exactly is a transformation specialist? Tell us what that is.
Yeah. So, actually, I believe that I'm a leader by heart, and what I mean by that is that I actually go and make way for people to go through their own transformation. So, I really have a strong drive to increase quality of life, and my way of doing that is raising consciousness of who we are, what our passion is, what our strengths are, and all those things, and finding that balance on how we show up. So the organizational part of that is actually like how do you implement that strategy like with a holistic approach, because often we are so um, focused on the content, like what is it that we're going to do, where are we going, and we sometimes make a process, like how are we going to get there.
Yeah.
But there's one part missing, and that's the like, how do the people in that process feel? How are they going through their own transformation, their own change management curve in that transformation? So the company somehow has a plan, but then the people actually don't have that much of a plan going through that transformation. And that's where I really feel that I'm filling a gap in supporting the people in the transformational phase.
That makes so much sense, Mariana. I worked in organizations where I wanted to move up the ladder. And we all know no matter what, you can know your entire job, you can be confident, you know what you're doing, and you're
Yeah.
probably ready to take on leadership. Then when you go into the leadership role, it's all new and you're starting right back at square one, and your insecurities come to the top, and your nervousness and your anxiety, and everybody goes through it. Believe it or not, every leader goes through the very same thing. It's just like, oh my gosh, maybe they'll know I don't know what I'm doing. All of it. And it's because you really don't. You haven't done the job yet. So does that make sense where you come in and kind of help people get to the next uh, position?
Yeah, I really understand that you can be in between. You can be, you're having your success, you're running this strategic thing, you're running projects, you're getting the success, but then you kind of forget yourself and your team, and like how do we actually go with that
That's excellent.
transformation, and like really being into like, oh my God, then I'm maybe so supportive of my team that I forget myself.
Right.
So that's also an aspect. So it's really finding that balance in all the things, like content wise, process wise, and people wise, for
That's
yourself, for your team, for the organization.
So let's say you go into a company and you're gonna talk to them about how you're gonna work with them. So do you
Yeah.
work one-on-one with individuals or do you do a group session? What is your process?
All of the above. It's basically like where they're at. I really want to meet people in the organizations where they're at. So there's no one size fit all. I do work one on ones, usually with the leaders. It doesn't matter at what level. Usually one-on-one, but I also do the team, the team coaching, the workshops, whatever's needed, into getting the conversation going, that we are in alignment, that it's clear where we're going, that my roles and responsibilities are clear, how I feel, what kind of communication do we want to have in order to succeed. What do I do if I, see something that needs attention? Where do I take it? It's basically, some organizations have these things in place and some don't. So you just really have to co-create it.
Now, let me ask you, let's say you're definitely going forward and everybody comes from a different background. So everybody
Yeah.
has different lifestyles. Some may be going through a hard time in life. Some may be going through an easy time in life. How does that make a difference in how you're helping them?
Yeah. So what that makes a difference is we really need to make that, that psychological safe space, that sacred space in the teen, actually showing themselves, that they actually show up with their mind, hands, and heart. We don't only want to see what you know, we want to see your wisdom inside and where you're at. And as a human being, we know life can be whatever, all colors.
Absolutely.
So we would really want to make that space, because that builds trust. And on trust, we can build a whole lot of things. And without that trust, you only get a small percentage from that employee.
Excellent. Well said. That's very good. I like that you're working with the so mind and body together. I like that you're working with the entire element of emotion and intelligence, and I suppose people have their own paths in life too. So I might also add, because you're working with leaders, they probably have goals to perhaps move on themselves. So you're teaching them that not only are they learning this environment, how to use their inside intelligence and emotions, but how to move forward and feel confident that they can keep achieving and not feel insecure. Is that fair?
That is fair. And it's the balance between the doing part and the being.
Excellent.
So we're really, our drive is very keen on from the doing part. It's the masculine, it's the brain, it's the knowledge, it's the ego, it's the fear, it's the mind, your thoughts and beliefs, right?
I believe in all of
Opinions.
Marianna, I believe in all of that. Honestly, I know, because where the mind goes, the body follows, right? And you really have to be centered. We talked a little bit about that coming onto the show. I had a busy morning trying to catch up to the day. I had to stop and center myself to come back to the show and give you 100% respect and focus to move on to the video. And that's honest, everyone. It was a busy morning, and sometimes we do have that, but we do have a responsibility to ourselves to come back and center and say, okay, what is the job today? What am I doing today? I do meditation. Perhaps you get into some of that. Do you talk to people about that side of the mental psychology?
Yes, I do. And meditation is, of course, one of the tools that you offer, basically. So it's kind of like, helping people to become conscious of when they are stuck in the mind, when they're stuck in the doing, because I do not think it's a coincidence that we're called human beings and not human doings.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's good. I like
And
that.
the being is like dropping into the heart, dropping in your intuition, because we have so much wisdom within. And when I would love that we would, link our drive to our being more, listen to what our wisdom is telling us, and have faith instead of fear. So all these things, when you are able to see where your gaps are, I have all these tools in my belt. Like, okay, there's a gap. You wanna minimize that gap. Here's a tool to exercise on. Here is an experiment to run, or here's a perspective for you to grow, or a reflection or feedback.
Sure, sure. If I was to ask you three things that you could say today, just quickly off the top of your head, that would
Yeah.
help someone in their workplace or in the actual transitioning that you do, what would advice would you give? Can you give us 3 little quick pointers?
Yes, I would say like stop. Just stop and drop a little bit in your body. Take a few breaths and see what comes up and listen to that. So
And
stop, center, listen.
excellent. And so when you're doing that, you're taking the time to say, okay, I'm centered, I'm back to where I need to be, right?
Yeah.
So when you go into organizations, do you teach them that? Do you go in and talk to them about all of these tools that you have? You bring them forward and kind of go through the meditation and things like that?
Yes, I do teach him that. And I also really offer rituals and all these things
Oh,
because it's always an offer. They are not obligated to take what I have to offer and implement it, but it's always an offer. And I try to offer from my highest ground, right? Because it comes from a very heartfelt and helpful yeah, it comes from such a deep place of helping and healing because I really want you the best for you. So
I
sometimes it can be hard to break some patterns, whether they're thought patterns or behavioral patterns or whatever it is. But you really, when you start to see them and observe and be curious, because it's really easy to start judging, being judgmental in that phase. But if you really have that curiosity and being humble of what you see and like, interesting, like, why do I do that? And, trying to actually understand why people show up like they are showing up. Like, it's kind of like double clicking and like, what's behind that, instead of judging what you see firsthand.
that's a
So
good
I'm
analogy.
really, yeah, so I'm really helping people just to basically I'm offering perspectives like, oh, have you wondered why that's happening? And or how does that make you feel? Or, what are your thoughts around that? Asking the questions that enable that you actually drop into your heart and intuition and
I
the
like that.
emotional intelligence. Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have a lot of things in life that trigger us, do we not?
Wow, a whole lot.
Yeah, so as we go, something where you think, what now? Why did I react that way? But then when you center yourself, you come back, you go, oh, that happened way back in that past part there, and I didn't handle it so well. And here it came out triggering something else because it's exactly the same emotion, exactly the same feeling. We just don't recognize it because we're not taking a look at ourselves inside. Is that fair?
Yes, it is. And in order to break a pattern, you have to understand that pattern. And in order to understand that pattern, you have to be conscious about it. And I really find that people find it harder to look at their own patterns because they can look at a process and see the patterns in the process, right? Like trends in data or whatever. We have our own database. It's
Yes.
just it's just a matter of fact in looking at it.
So how would you help somebody kind of push it out and look at it as if it was their friend, let's say, or someone outside of themselves without judging? Because we have friends and they go through something, you go, oh, don't worry about it. Because you don't see they're judgmental. You think they're just such good people and they had a bad time. But for ourselves, we beat ourselves up so much inside. We tend to be almost abusive, don't we, to ourselves? I mean,
We
so
can, yeah.
yeah. So how would you help someone kind of, recalibrate?
For me, this is the training part of it. You just have to exercise this muscle of compassionate leadership towards yourself. It's showing yourself the same compassion you would do to someone else. So by writing it, saying it out loud to a person that you trust, just to make it familiar, put it in your diary. This and that happened today, and start seeing the trends. And with the curiosity, it's so important to be curious.
I like that. Being
Yeah.
curious. So now you're really looking at it saying, you're not being judgmental. You're just going, that's interesting. I like that. Because you
And
are
and
really
you have
kind
to
of putting it
choose
out
that
there.
attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, you're so positive, Marianna. You are.
Thank
Now,
you.
now, do you have any, books out or training manuals, things like that right now?
Not at the moment, but I have so many ideas on my to-do list, right? So no, nothing from my own
I
yet.
wonder because you're going into corporations, so I didn't know if you did. Now, certainly, if you start moving forward, we'd love to have you back and start
Oh,
talking about your new projects.
thank you.
Would
Yes, I
that
would love to.
We'd love to have you back too, Marianna. Now let's go back to, I just wanted to touch base because we had a lot of things in here and you specialize in transitioning, getting the leaders. What about the actual employees? You talked about the team camaraderie and getting them focused on a goal. How would you move a group forward? Do you go in and do sessions with them? Well, obviously you go in, but what kind of things would you do for them as a team, as a team?
Yeah. So initially, I would always love to train the leader so the leader would be capable of doing that themselves. Because as a consultant, as an outsider, I want them to be sustainable. I don't want them to have to rely on having me there all the time. Because in my opinion, it would be success for me if they would not need me anymore.
I see. So you don't necessarily work with the team because I get that. So the leader is now being trained by you and they're going to train it off to the employees and as a team on their own. And now they're developing their own leadership abilities.
That's number one. Then it's fine if they want me to come and support a session. So maybe they want to run a session and then I come in as a support.
Oh, very good. Okay.
So
That's what I was
so
wondering how you continue on. Very good.
yeah. So basically it's I want my role to be a supporting role because I
Right.
want the leader to grow. I would not want to take that growth away from the leader and be the one running the workshop, because I would want them to do it and then I could support and then we could reflect on the workshop later for like seeing the teachings.
Excellent. Good job. I'm really quite
Thank
impressed
you.
with what you're doing. I like that because it is different when you're in a workplace. You want to do the best job you can do. You want to feel good and you want the company to know you already have value, but it's nice to have the tools you need to keep going. So well done, Marianna.
Thanks.
Now for your business, do you do social media? Do you have a web page? How do you get your name out there for the companies to see you?
Yeah, I do have a web page. It's improvement.is because
Okay.
IS is Iceland. I also have Instagram. It's Improvement Iceland. And then I am quite visible on LinkedIn.
Oh,
But that's in my personal name. So it would be Maríanna Magnús.
yeah, and I'm going to absolutely put everything on here. No worries
Thank
on your
you.
social media. This of course is being recorded for YouTube and LinkedIn and all of that. I'll make sure your bio's on there. But I did want to, because you have such a good process and there'll be companies that want to know how to reach out to you. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to kind of touch base on that. So what other ideas do you have to bring forward to us today? I know you and I kind of talked about a platform here. What else would you like to mention while we're here?
Yeah, while we're here, I think it's also very nice to look at. I'm very fond of thinking that everything has spirit. So a company can have spirit. And it's also looking into like what is needed for that company to grow or to thrive or develop in the same magnitude as I would look at a person, like what is needed for that person to grow and thrive and develop, to look at a company in that same way. So I'm actually like really looking into like, okay, so where can I like help and to, I mean, some companies actually do need healing in a way.
Oh,
They've
that's
gone
interesting.
through they've gone through stories and they've gone through successes. They've also gone through traumas. So it's actually very interesting to look at why sometimes a transformation fails, that because they have unresolved trauma from the past.
That's a very interesting perspective to look at it for the company itself as a whole. That's very good, Mariana. I like that.
So I'm just, finding my ways in order to express that. So that's my experiment for the moment.
Well, a lot of companies have mission statements, so they know
Yeah,
where you're going.
yeah,
But you're right, if they've had a bumpy ride or they've had some upsets, and we certainly have seen a lot of upsets, nothing that they've done wrong necessarily, just a global situation. Now they have to rethink, regroup, transition, and that's excellent. That now you can go in and help the company as a whole. That's very
yeah.
good. Very
And
good.
I really believe that the culture in the company implements the strategy. So if you would sum up all the individuals that, make the teams, that make the organization, um, that culture is what actually implements that strategy. Because,
Okay.
there is that saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Got it.
There's a saying, and I actually get triggered by that one, because it's kind of like we are accepting that we are accepting that we're failing because of that culture. So, and that's fine. And I really don't think that's fine, that because that means people do not feel good. if if we had engaged people that actually would bring their head, their hands and heart to work, then that culture would actually implement the strategy and make that success.
That so now you're talking about synergy and the company growth and together, everybody in a good positive way, working together, moving forward. So even if they had a challenging time, if everybody got on the same page, everybody was positive, everybody's moving towards a great goal, and everybody's synergized, if you will. Now you've got a different direction going, no matter what happens, right?
True. And it's also because the engagement in it, because um, sometimes I get misunderstood, but no one's happy all the time. Nobody's positive all the time. Of course not.
That's
I mean,
right.
we're human, but it's finding that sense that what I do is important. It's something that's challenging because it really pushes and nudges growth. I'm proud of what I'm doing, and I love my coworkers and how we do that together because we know each other so well and we complement each other, in the way we do it. The co-creation part of finding a way towards our goal.
And that is the best place that people like to work. You hear that all the time.
Yeah,
I love my job. I
exactly.
love my colleagues. I can't wait to get up in the morning, go to work. What a great feeling, Marianna, to get up in the morning, go, I can't wait to get to work. How many people do you know do that, right? So it would be great to be able to
Exactly.
do that with your company. And if the company gets it, the head people of the company say, yep, we want employees to get out of bed and be excited about getting here. What a great, wouldn't that just change everything?
Yes, and that's where you just have to be. It's so simple. You just have to be conscious of where the drivers are coming from.
And
What is
I'm aware it can't,
motivating?
yeah, I'm aware it can't be like that all the time,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying overall, it
Yes,
does make a difference, right?
it does. It increases quality of life.
It does, and we have heard of companies that do so well because of, as you just said, quality of life. They're happy, they're not stressed out. If they have issues, they deal with them in a positive manner. Everything comes together for them, right?
Yeah, in a constructive way, and it's not always easy.
No, that's where you come in, Mariana.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's also like going through, even though you have this positive ways, taking the challenges, you're in the best team, it can also be tough. But that's life, right? But it's the way that we choose to handle when life hits you. That's where the secret lies.
I agree with that. I agree with that. How
Mhm.
you react, right? It's not the outside circumstances, it's how we react to them.
Exactly. And when you choose to respond consciously, it really has impact, positive impact.
And I really would think it's down to the leadership of the company. They're the ones driving it. So they're the ones who need to be the most in tune to the atmosphere and the energy and the synergy of their own company. Would that not make sense?
Yeah, being aware of the container that you're creating for your staff to thrive.
And
Yeah.
I would think the workforce has even changed today than it was a long time ago because more
Yep.
people are online, you're more isolated. as you said, you're trying to build bonds. Now, I know we can work together. Zoom is a wonderful way to bring people together. There's lots of platforms, but you're still not physically there. So you're not getting the same nuances that you would if you were in the office. So there must be a need also, Marianna, for bringing companies, employees, and teams together on the internet. Would that make sense?
Yeah, sure. It does. And it also makes sense. Like if you're working in this environment, I mean, imagine if me and you were working together every day. We
We
would
get along
actually
great, Marianna.
Yeah.
I would get up in the morning and go, oh, I can't wait to get to work.
Yes. But we would have to schedule like social time. We would have to schedule like when are we pushing things forward. We would have to be very conscious of having that balance as well, not only doing, 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 doing.
Yeah, I do find I actually was working from home during COVID as well. And I'll tell you what, I was a leader and manager, and I had leaders of my own. And I found that the leaders who were engaged and who allowed a little bit of the social, not out of control, but a little bit of the social atmosphere in the meetings and online, gave them a little bit of leeway. They did extremely well compared to leaders that were too rigid. That's what I found, in my opinion. It was, you do, as a leader, want to give your team a little bit of social interaction when you're doing online. And that's just what I observed.
I totally agree with that because like I started here and in this show, it's the content, it's the process, and it's the people. And you were kind of explaining like the leaders that I had, the balance between these three, they did the best job. They had the most positive outcomes. But sometimes we forget in our only content and process wise, and we forget that people that are behind that screen actually making creating that value. We have to listen to that voice as well.
So true, Marianna. Wow, you give quite the package together.
Thank you.
You certainly do. So, one last thought from your side. What else would you like to bring us as we wrap up our meeting today?
Yeah, there comes a sentence that wants to come forward, and the sentence is very crisp. It's being conscious is strategic.
Being conscious
Is strategic.
is strategic. Excellent. Excellent job. From there, when you're being conscious and strategic, explain it out for the company and the leaders for us.
Yes. So the more that you become conscious of where you're at in all the aspects that you need to take care of, then you start seeing the trends, the patterns, and then you basically see where you need to support the most. Because you're always looking like on the overview, and that's where you see where your system is lacking some support or needing nourishment or maybe needing some creativity or needing clarity or whatever. That's where you start to see what is needed in order to get success.
And they, as a whole, can call you, Marianna, and talk to you, and you can help implement that, do the transitioning, help the corporations grow with a good positive attitude. That's really how I see it anyway.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly how I see it. So I'm very capable in the structure side, but I'm very, very, very human and very connected to my intuition. So that is my number one tool that I follow.
Excellent. Thank you for coming today, Marianna. We had a great time together. I'm going to have you back. I'm going to put all your information at the bottom so everyone, Marianna, you'll be able to reach out to her. And now, do you have a YouTube channel, Marianna? Help me out there.
Not yet.
Not yet. So on your social media, well, make sure your name's on here. Go to LinkedIn. I know you're very visible there. We're going to go to LinkedIn. Please do catch up to Marianna. Join her on her LinkedIn sessions and reach out if you have a company you're thinking is growing and you really want to get or you want to grow. Definitely use her tools. She's amazing. You're very good, Marianna.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm glad you came all the way from Iceland.
Yeah, and if you're in Iceland, reach out.
Oh, I'm so reaching out. If I'm in Iceland, you're coming to the airport to get me, girl.
Perfect.
And if you come to Canada, we want to have you here too.
Yes. I'll take you up
Okay?
on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna be talking to you again soon anyway, Marianna. So for everyone else, this is Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. Do subscribe at the bottom here and give us a thumbs up. Go over to Marianna's LinkedIn page. I truly appreciate all you viewers and all your support. You have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye now.